The remote work boom is coming to an end.
Zoom, the company that single-handedly allowed us to all remote work for the last 3 years, has made all of their employees go back into the office.
Okay, so boom, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, said all of that work from home stuff is going to be a wrap.
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have proposed ending remote work for federal employees.
So, early this morning, Elon Musk released his first order of business in the Trump administration. Kill remote work for the federal employees, mandating they return back to the office.
Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's YT back with another video. Y'all already see the topic. Y'all know what we getting into. Listen, if you had to go back to the job, drop a comment below, because 2025 work from home jobs are coming to an end. Thumbs up this video, smash subscribe. Let's get into it.
Elon has also stated that working remotely hinders the performance of the employee, that all private sector businesses should follow suit. So, remote workers, do you think this is the end of remote work and you'll be back to the office?
Okay, so boom, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, said all of that work from home stuff is going to be a wrap for these federal employees. So he was in a press conference and he basically said that like they did a little study or something and they found out like maybe 1% of federal employees was working from the office or whatever. And he said the American people is not going to stand for it. And I'm going to be honest, I'm an American. I don't know if I count as the American people, but I am an American. I don't care where you work as long as you're getting your work done. But Mike Johnson and them, they said, nope, it's a wrap. You're going to go back to the office. So...
The remote work boom is coming to an end. We need to talk about how that comes with a lot of the fallout and changes to the modern workforce. Because back in 2020, when offices closed and people started working from home, we all wondered, how long is this going to last? Will it be a few months until a vaccine gets made, or if it's working, is it just going to stay this way? You know, there were a lot of people who really thought that last option sounded appealing. But for many of those same people, the party might be ending. Because if you haven't already been hit with a back-to-office mandate, it's likely coming soon, with 90% of companies planning to implement a return-to-office policy by the end of this year, according to a survey of 1,000 company leaders. But also, a very key thing is that for some companies, losing employees is sometimes the goal. With, for example, CNBC putting out a report saying strict return-to-office policies are sometimes just layoffs in disguise. Because instead of doing layoffs themselves, some places just hope that their office schedules will upset enough people that they just leave on their own. And Dan Schawbel, a managing partner at Workplace Intelligence, telling CNBC that while companies would never come out and say it because of legal implications, some might use a return-to-office mandate as an opportunity to restructure its workforce.
Warning, working from home is coming to an end. 80% of CEOs are saying that working from home will be completely gone by 2027. Amazon sensationally banning working from home a few days ago sparked more and more corporations to say that they would move to ban the practice as well. They say they're doing it to spark creativity and collaboration, but it's really about the other C word, control. Companies experienced some of their biggest profits in the years between 2020 and 2022, when many of them were fully remote. For almost 5 years, people have worked from home without incident, showing that the everyday in the office model was completely unnecessary in our age of hyperconnectivity. The idea that we can't be creative if we're not together in person is absolutely hogwash. Control is the reason why CEOs like Starbucks' CEO allow themselves to work from home while forcing workers to come into the office. Another less well-acknowledged reason why they are forcing people to come back is the economy. Simply put, when people are forced to commute, they spend more money on gas and they spend more money on food when they're downtown. Companies also spend more on real estate, which could stop all of these vacant office buildings in city centers. Either way, the push to return is not about employees, it's not about productivity, it's not about creativity. It's about control and boosting the economy.
The end of remote work is coming. 70% of tech companies are moving to a hybrid work environment, according to a study recently done by Dice. In my opinion, employers are mandating return to the office policies as a tactic to get employees to resign. This will reduce headcount costs to ultimately help companies prepare for the upcoming recession.
They really out here giving ultimatums. You have to come back to work. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You got to be here. You don't really have a choice. You don't really have a say-so. Well, you do, but you will not be a part of our team anymore. You won't be on the roster. They forced them to work remote. Because remember, these people went from working in offices to remote. So they forced them to work remote, essentially, due to the circumstances, you know, the pandemic. Okay, cool. Y'all have to go work at home now. So they had to adjust to that. Now they got comfortable. They got used to it. It's been years. They like, hey, you know what? I like this. I like this more than I liked working in the office. Now all of a sudden they want everybody to come back. But they seem like they got a scheme on their hands. You know, we going into 2025. 2024 was crazy enough. The economy and job market was crazy enough. We know it's going to be something 2025. It's already getting started. Look at this. The year haven't even started yet, and they making this major announcement.
You guys, Zoom is forcing their employees to return back to office. Like, the work from home era might really be coming to an end. And I think a lot of companies are using this whole hybrid model thing as a cop-out, especially when it's forced, because once you force employees to come into the office 2 or 3 days a week, you're essentially limiting where they could live, because now they have to be within commuting distance of the office. So it's like you've just taken a huge perk of being able to work remotely.
Elon is using a strategy that has long been used in tech to lay off people without having to give them severance. The Department of Government Efficiency, ironically headed by 2 people, is putting out a mandate that gets remote federal workers to come back to office for 5 days a week or voluntarily walk. This strategy used by tech companies is called voluntary attrition, where the company scales back benefits to the employees in the hopes that the employees themselves are going to leave the company. One of the benefits that is being clawed back from tech employees across the board is the ability to work remotely. And obviously, tech denizens are gathering on Blind to complain and gripe about it. More employees in the government work remotely than you might think, to the tune of $1.3 million. But keep in mind, these aren't employees who are fully remote. It's more of a hybrid work setup. But the Elon duo expects all of these remote and hybrid employees to come back to the office for a full 5 days worth of honest work. For the next 4 years, it does look like everybody is going to have to work harder and be less happier about it.
Zoom, the literal company, made all of their employees go back to the office this week. The company that single-handedly allowed us to all remote work for the last 3 years has made all of their employees go back into the office. I've been reading a bunch of articles about it, and all these execs that are making people return back to office, they keep focusing on this whole idea that hybrid work is better for productivity. They keep calling it like togetherness, work culture, all of these things, but it's something bigger. Zoom is more late stage when it comes to their growth. They have acquired most of their market share. They've been quite a hot topic for the last 3 years. They're also already public on the stock market. But what happens is the board always wants a specific amount of growth. So let's call it 20%, right? So sometimes when you've hit a peak at a company, it's hard to constantly hit 20% gains every quarter or every year, whatever the goal is. Sometimes, instead of looking at what they can increase, they look at...
Do you know the real reason why remote jobs are going away? It's because most CEOs think like the Google X CEO, Eric Schmidt, right here. The only companies that aren't mandating return back to office are the companies that are in the green and doing really well. So if you get an email from HR asking you to return to office, that might mean that leadership sees a sinking ship and they need people to be more productive at the office. If you want to be in a remote job and stay remote, the best advice I have for you is to go to a company that has a track record of being the green and being remote. Those companies are going to be remote for a long time.
Ah, okay, they getting crafty with it. So this is a way for them to let people go without it being on their books, without it being on paper. They don't want it to be shown. They don't want the world to know that they company failing. So we already know if we tell people come back to work, a certain percentage of people not going to do it. They're not going to be with it. They got comfortable with this lifestyle. They're going to look for another job. So now, whew, that saves us. You see? The pride of these CEOs, they real prideful this year. They being real slick. But look, this next segment, we're going to let a couple people talk about what's happened with them. Real people are going through this. These people really got to go back. Let's hear their story.
I think what sucks about me having to go back into the office after almost 2 years of being work from home is I'm not really going into an office. I'm going into a room with a chair and a table. And I think me and all my coworkers are all going to be in the same room together. I just feel like the older generation, they want us to be in the office so bad that they don't even realize sometimes there's not even an office to go back to. Like just for the sake of saying that we're going to be in the office, they're putting us in a room together and calling that an office. I don't know. I really feel like the future is work from home. I don't really think that we're meant to be in the office every single day. I even opted into like going to office like 3 times a week. I still think that's too much because it's 3 consecutive days in a row. It just seems like we've outgrown this whole ideal of being in the office and having to, I don't know, it's more of like a politics thing. Like people just want to see your face. They want to know what you're doing all day. But for me, I feel like I'm very productive and I know how to get my shit done, and I get it done better when I work alone. But we'll see. Hey, I could be surprised. You know what? Let me change this up. Actually, universe, God, show me how good it can get. Show me how good it can get. Today will be the best day of my life. I get to go to work. I get money in my pockets. I have a car to drive. I have clothes to wear and a place to go. So yeah, I'm happy.
I get an invite to a meeting yesterday, and it's everybody in there, my boss, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking, oh my God, they're about to lay us off. The meeting is just about returning back to the office. So spoiler alert, I'm ready for a lot of content of me complaining about being in the office and a lot of work content. Anyway, so we get to this meeting, and I see people that I don't normally see in the meeting. Like, people I work with are in a different part of the country, and I'm like, okay, so I'm on hands-on deck meeting, and they're telling us, oh, we're doing a complete return back to office. Now, keep in mind, I already work a hybrid position, right? So I'm supposed to be in the office 2 days a week, and some people don't have to go in the office at all, because my job doesn't, you don't need to be in the office to do what I do. You can 100% remote do this job. So a lot of people 100% remote do this job, and they have been doing this job since before COVID remote. Everything they do revolves around being able to work from home, right? So as you can imagine, most people were pissed that they had decided to do the 3 days a week, no exceptions type of return to office, because up until now, there were a lot of exceptions and it was really lenient. No, it's full on, you're back 3 days a week and they don't want to hear nothing about it. What I think is going on, I think they know that a lot of people don't want this. A lot of people's lives revolve around being able to work from home 100%. I think this is the soft layoff. I think that they don't want to do layoffs, but I think that a job that was remote before COVID, and now if you're trying to go to before COVID, it's the same job, to require people to come back is crazy. So this one girl in the meeting, she was like, this is my hero. She was like, basically, she's like, I think the timing is awkward that we're going back to the office, coming off the heels of our reviews, and they weren't good. And she's like, and I can tell from the looks on the faces of everybody in this meeting that I'm correct. And so you're taking a benefit away, and in turn, we're getting a pay cut. When I tell y'all my mouth hit the ground, and she said, that wasn't a question, I just wanted to say that. Okay. Then she proceeds to ask the upper management. She's like, so as you are 100% remote, will this affect you? Will you have to start coming into an office? When I tell you, this man was stumbling over his words. And he was like, hey, he was asking the other people in the call, hey, do y'all want to jump in here? She wasn't letting up. And then she was like, and so have y'all considered the fact that this won't go over, like people will have to make hard decisions as far as staying in this position? And he was like, well, we've considered everything, and we understand people may have to make some hard decisions. And when he said that, I said, yep, they're actually expecting people to make hard decisions and leave because of this. And because it's so hard to get a job right now, a lot of people aren't gonna leave, I don't think, right now. But what I do think is gonna happen, if somebody does decide to leave, I know they're not gonna they're gonna spread their work among the people that already are there. And what they're not gonna expect is for everybody else I think they're gonna expect for there to be enough people to pick up that work. And one thing about me, I don't like stuff like that. I don't like stuff like that. You will not. I always see the writing on the wall. Now, I know for me, the 3 days a week, I don't like it. I really don't want to do it, but that's not gonna be enough of a reason for me to make any drastic change. What will be a reason for me to make a drastic change is if I know that other people are planning to leave, and I can see the writing on the wall. When I know that a lot of people, more than 2 people, are planning to leave, I know for a fact I will not be someone who is obligated to pick up their slack. And I know they're not going to hire people. So I think they're not considering the fact that, yeah, this is a great opportunity to lay off maybe 30-40%. But this is not what are you going to do with that workload? Because I can guarantee you, somebody like me, I don't go for that. I don't go for that. But anyway, so yeah, these are my last like little month being a remote employee. I will be going back to the office next year, and I will be complaining every day.
There are so many companies that are now requiring employees to go back to the office starting in 2025. I have to wonder what the real reason behind this is. Because if you think about it, so many of these roles were hired remotely. So it didn't matter if your manager lived in California, you were in New York, and the rest of your team was in, I don't know, Utah. Because at the end of the day, you're just getting on Zoom. Kind of interesting that now these companies are saying you need to go back to whatever office is closest to you. If you think about it, majority probably wouldn't even have their teammates in the same office location as them. It's happened to me whenever I got hired at Google. They made me pick one of the 3 main hubs to work at. And I personally just didn't want to move to New York or California, so I picked Chicago. And not one person on my team or any team I worked with was in Chicago, so there was literally no reason for me to go to the office. I think I went a total of 2 times, and when I was there, didn't talk to a single person. And less than a year later, they laid me off. So not only did they waste thousands of dollars to move me here, but they also literally made me pick up my life for no reason. It makes me wonder if companies are doing this with the hopes that their employees will just voluntarily resign and they can avoid doing more layoffs. It's just so obvious that these companies genuinely do not care about what's best for their employees. It's just what's best for them.
Do you want to know the real reason that CEOs hate remote work and they are forcing people back to the office? It has very little to do with corporate real estate and a lot to do with controlling you. Let me explain. During the pandemic, remote work became popular because companies were forced into a decision: either allow people to work from home or shut the business down. This was due to the restrictions. A few things happened during this time. Number one, employees realized that they could actually live their lives and work didn't need to dominate everything. And as long as they got results from home, everything was totally fine. But companies don't like this. If they're paying you 6 figures, they're paying you a big salary, they won't work to completely dominate your life. So the idea of people being able to run errands and live their life and still get their work done is not something that they get excited about. So as soon as the employer market started shifting, and it got a lot more difficult on the job market, companies have said, we're going to force people back to the office because it's way easier to control people from an office building than it is when they're working from home. That's the real reason they're forcing you back to the office in 2024 and beyond.
Hi, my name's Bree, and for the past 4.5 years, I've been working from home. My company doesn't require us to meet with customers in person. Everything's done over the phone, so it's super easy to do our jobs from our homes. But 2 days ago, we got the dreaded news that we would be asked to come back into the office. So wanted to jump on and make a quick video about why work from home has been so important for our family and why it's so valuable for a lot of people who are able to do their jobs at home. So first and foremost is I've been able to see my kids more. Before this, couldn't drop them off at school or pick them up from school because their school started at random times and I had to be in the office at 7:30 and didn't leave until 4:30, and that just didn't work. But now I get to be with them for several hours in the evening. I don't have to rush through the night to get dinner and everything else done, and so it's really nice to have that time back and be able to be more present for their school activities. In 2020, when we went to the work from home model, I left the office being 240 pounds, incredibly overweight, sedentary. I never really did much exercise. But because I was transitioned home, I was able to take that time that I was commuting to and from work and turn that into a time where I could work on my physical activity, work out. I was also able to better monitor what I was eating because I was able to eat at home. I wasn't eating out as much, going to fast food or going to restaurants with people. I would just go to the kitchen and make myself something to eat. And as a result, I was able to lose 70 pounds and keep it off for the last 3 years. I did buy a treadmill. I will show you that with my beautiful cat, Wolfie, on it. It sits next to my desk so I can just jump on and work out at any time during the day when I have the time to do so. Also, as you've just seen, we have our cat Wolfie, but more recently we adopted multiple dogs. This wouldn't have been possible if I wasn't at home all day to take care of them. At first, when this work from home started back in 2020, we only have one dog. His name's Ferdinand, and he's a Labrador, and now we have multiple dogs who are adoptees who needed homes, and it's almost kind of like having a dog farm because every day there's a lot of dog chores that I do, get up early in the morning, clean up after them, feed them, that kind of thing, and that was made possible, us being able to take in so many animals who needed a home because I was here and could care for them all day. I think it's also important to acknowledge that it's pretty easy for us as a team to still stay connected. We have a lot of technology, we can jump on a Teams call, we can turn our cameras on to see each other. We've been able to seamlessly do all of that for the past 4.5 years with no issues whatsoever. There was no change in our service quality in moving us from the office to home because everything remained the same. We're on a computer in the office, we're on a computer at home. There's no difference other than where we're sitting. Also, I would say that my mental health has improved exponentially since moving to my house for work. I'm getting better sleep now. I get to sleep a little bit more than I would if I had to commute to the office. And it just feels better because I'm not somebody who likes to be around people. And so many people are introverted and don't want to go to an office and don't want to talk to people all day. It's just kind of draining, and it's so much easier for me to be at home where I can be alone and don't have a lot of things going on around me so that I can focus better on my work. I think it's really unfortunate that corporate America thinks that this is a move that they should make because they're disrupting people's lives that we've built over the past 4+ years. Everything's changed for our family. My kids are going to have to go to riding the bus when this takes place in January if I'm not able to find another position before that time that would allow me to continue working remotely. And what's really sad is I love my job and I love the company that I work for. And because of this, I am, trying to figure out, should I go somewhere else? I've already put in a couple of applications because this has become a way of life for us, for our family. When I told my kids about the possibility of going back to the office, they weren't happy about it either. Everyone's used to me being at home and getting able to take care of stuff at home. So anyhow, I really wish that they would reconsider and that companies in America wouldn't be trying to bring people back into the office that can do their job at home, because there's really no point in that. And all it does is disrupt everyone's lives and make everyone unhappy. So anyway, thanks.
Yeah, it could be kind of disruptive because it's been so long. People got used to those schedules, and now they base their whole lives around it, their whole family's life around it. It's going to take some adjusting. It's going to take some adjusting for them, the whole family. Certain activities might have to get cut out. Certain things that were going on, they might not be able to do no more within that household. Who knows? But you got to remember, everything is temporary, though. You couldn't expect that to last forever. C-19 has been over. In actuality, when it ended, I wouldn't have been surprised if they told everybody to go back. They just didn't do it that way. It just didn't happen that way. It wasn't necessary at the time. Now, we do see that this is an agenda to get people out of there. We do know they got a plan. They always got a plan. If you don't like it, you can always change jobs, because that's what they want anyway, right? They're going to put a large workload on the people that still left there. It's just going to be an uncomfortable setting, probably, for the people that are there, that remain there. I do hate the fact that people have to make these adjustments. But once again, one thing we learned this year is how to adapt with the changes. It started off like this. People were comfortable in their work setting, working in office, and then they were told they had to work at home. They got used to that. Now being told you got to come back, that's uncomfortable now. You're not familiar with it. It's been so long. But once everybody get back in the hang of it, I feel like they'll get used to it. But hey, drop a comment below, man. Let me know what y'all think about this one. We're going to try to end this one off on a positive note. I appreciate y'all for watching, man. It's YT. Peace and shalom.